Hello, you're very welcome to another edition of the Under Center podcast. Dara here with you. Have a full house with me tonight. Delighted to be joined by Reen, Fionn, and Alex. Boys, how are we?
Doing good, doing good.
The finest.
Yeah, as usual, every Tuesday, it's a blast to be on here with the lads every week.
That's the way I want it. That's the way I like to hear it.
We're here because you forced us to be here, Dara, right? Stop with this. How's everybody doing? Look at poor Alex there. He hasn't slept in 3 days. And he was like, please, can I go to bed? And you said, no, you've got to do the show now. So
that's because he went across the road for his conference there last week. It took him a while to get back.
Cross the
waters. It did take me longer to get down to Cork and back for refereeing this week, I tell you that.
That is miserable. Like the fact that we had UL up and somebody had to travel down to Cork, that's got to be the worst assignment in the country.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. I don't know.
Could Wexford not have sent one of their 67 qualified officials?
Oh, they were at our game.
Yeah, they were sent to Blanchardstown, for logistical reasons.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, Cork should have had them, to be honest with you. We'd have been happy enough if they were down in Cork.
Well, look, listen. You did get a little bang. You were saying there over the weekend, I think who was it? Steve Moles was the white cap at that one. He was surprised to see you rock up all the way from Dundalk. Even though I think he's in charge.
He's the organizer.
Simons.
He's
in charge.
I from what I gather, someone else does the schedule, and he was a bit like, "How did you have to drive down from the dock? Was that not an awful long spin?" I was like, "Yeah, it was."
You're like, the Causeway Giants were playing, so we had to sub in for them.
Yeah.
That's it. Craig Avon were a little busy in Castleknock there. They couldn't head down either. Well, sure, we're going to hear about that game. We're going to hear about all the games from this past weekend. Another eventful weekend in the AFI. It all started with Saturday with the postponement of the Vipers and Razorbacks game due to an unplayable pitch.
On the nicest
it is going to be rescheduled
in the country.
Yeah, the nicest. It was actually. It was glorious.
Glorious weekend. Somehow the Vale still a bog.
As you can probably see in the bottom of the screen if you're watching live, it is rescheduled for July the 7th. So hopefully the weather is as good. I can almost bet my house that it will be pissing rain that day. Because that's almost just what happens.
We do still live in Ireland at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that was Saturday then. I was all ready to look at after the score updates because I haven't been able to do it the last few weeks. Ryan has become the chief score adjuster now this past 2 weeks. Thank you very much again for the stellar work at the weekend.
Stellar work? You literally just put up the full-time scores.
Hey,
hold on, there was not.
We'd have been faster running around to all the games to check what the score was.
Hold on a second, right? You told me that you couldn't play. You couldn't do it because you were playing at the weekend. What did you do on Sunday?
I was on the chains.
Moving
the chains when it was clear.
Yeah, can we get the injury report out? Fionn Malloy out with for fuck's sake, Fionn.
Injury. It's just a non-football injury.
Hey, all I'm hearing is that Fionn was moving the chains on Sunday for the Panthers.
Getting the chains moved.
Star running back.
Something the Panthers haven't had a problem doing.
Connor Hoskins is going mad right now, thinking that Ryan is taking his snaps at running back now from now on. But actually, I should mention this is going to be our mid-season hot takes show. We have got a few that we're going to discuss later on. If you want to get involved, and you haven't sent them in yet, just go to our live YouTube chat. Pop them in there. We'll have a read of them. If you want to watch us on Instagram Live, you can do the exact same and let us know a few of the questions there. I'll keep an eye on that throughout the show. Well, let's get into the games that actually did take place on Sunday. We'll start in the Premier Division, and Fionn, seeing as you were the keen spectator for the game in the sports campus in Blanche, the Panthers 39, the Vikings 14. Another really good win for the Panthers, sticking another 30-something points on their team. And also, the defense only conceding 2 touchdowns to Finn O'Donovan rushing them in. But your perspective on the game from Sunday?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good game. I don't think it's the perfect game. Obviously, Rebels showed how well they stuffed UL's offense, so we didn't manage to replicate their feat. But it was a pretty good game. It's kind of the expectation for the Panthers at the moment is just keep improving. Ultimately, if you have aspirations to play playoff football, you need to be playing your best football at the end of the season, the last couple of regular season games and the playoff games. We know the way the schedule is, you would argue, based on the preseason and probably now at the power rankings as they stand at the moment. We understand the strength of our schedule is towards the end of the season, not at the start. But it's important to get these wins. It wasn't easy. UL are a very good team. I was surprised. I think I don't know, maybe surprised is unfair to UL, but I was impressed by what they can do. They know very well where their squad is and the things that they do well. Running game is excellent. Finn O'Donovan is so hard to get on the ground, and we saw that. We did our best to scheme it up to try and put a stop to him, and he still managed to get two runs into the end zone. So I was very impressed with him. I think big props to UL. They shouldn't have their heads down. It's maybe slightly patronizing, but at the end of the day, I didn't play, so I don't mind saying that. I think they did themselves justice. They played really well, and they're going to be a problem for loads of teams. It's not a surprise that now, to me, that Cork only managed to draw. For that reason, I think more than any other, that's why it's an important win for us. Wasn't perfect. We were working on plenty of things. We knew it wouldn't be perfect. We're building towards that perfect game. But at the same time, that's a game that Cork dropped. I think the expectation is for most people around the league, it's going to be Cork, Panthers, Trojans going for 3, 4, and 5 seeds. So for us, it's important. UCD and Rebels are going to be a really hard game, but they're going to be a really hard game for everybody, right? So you got to maximize your points in those other games. And when it comes down to the head-to-head, really then be playing your best football. So for us, it was an important game, really good game. I think the offense played excellently well. Defense had a really good game, lots of new blood as well. Obviously, that's where for anyone who don't know, I play on the defensive side of the ball. So that's where my attention was most of the game. But man, the offense is very impressive. There's a lot of different ways. I think did it mostly on the ground, but we've seen Finn as well do it through the air. So I think it was a really good game overall. Not perfect, but plenty to build from and plenty to be happy about.
Yeah, Alex, if you had mentioned there the head-to-head record when it comes down to it, which is very important. Also, the point differential is going to be very important, and they have a nice points differential at the moment.
16, I believe.
It's 14, 16, 65, something like that anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we had plenty of complaints in, but we had to wait for NASA to get back to, with the calculations for their massive points difference. So, we just had to wait a little bit and we just guess, make up a number as we go along. Sure. That's what we do on this show, just make things up as we go along.
Well, look, in fairness, the one thing I will say, and look, the lads obviously will be getting a bit of a slagging on Friday, whether they all claim they don't listen to the podcast, but they obviously all follow it on Instagram because they all spotted the error. But in fairness, it's been a really high-powered Panthers offense. For us, it's a bit of a laugh, and it's funny when the lads get onto us. But at the same time, they should be proud of how many points they're putting up this season. It's not like it was a given. It wasn't the same last season. So look, the lads on the offense are entitled to be proud of their points differential, and we'll have it rectified by next week. Let's put it like that. We'll make sure Rian double checks them every week from now on. The rest of the teams give a rat's, but
that's it. Music to the Panthers is I'm taking it out of my hands. It's all in Rian's now. So if you need to complain about
an even 100 from now on.
Yeah, there'd be no complaints if you if you overestimated the points zone. There'd be no complaint. Can't get everything.
You're gonna have to deal with it. You're probably gonna have to deal with a complaint from another team or something like that. So you just listen, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It's all going to be irrelevant by the time they play the Rebels and UCD. That'll be back down to 0. So, yeah.
Again, Green did that, not me. Don't.
Yeah. Coming from the unaffiliated quarterback.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I think their next game's the kind of interesting one, sort of a bit of a grudge match.
Yeah, that'll be a good test.
Grudge match up in Belfast, May 4th, I think. Should be a good one.
Yep, on the Saturday, same day actually as you're playing the Cowboys as well, Alex. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's going to be an interesting day's football, for sure. I don't know. Do I go up to Belfast or Dundalk? Probably Dundalk. It's closer. Be easier.
I guess it's right past at the end of the day, so why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Maybe Cork might be a good shout.
Maybe.
You probably have to appreciate the Cork game.
Lads, I'm here. Where's everybody? Right. On the UL side of things, it is another defeat. We keep saying every week how important that draw is going to be when it comes to avoiding relegation and considering the results from the rest of the weekend. They now have their break, a good couple of weeks break. They face the big teams. They are not back in action until, I have it here, the 26th of May against away to the Minotaurs. Again, that they're definitely going to be targeting to win. And again, then they'll face then the Knights back to back to round out their season now as well. So they're into that range of winnable games that they're going to be targeting to win.
For sure. Yeah. And I think it's good as well that they're to have the whole table be competitive. As we said, it is maybe a little bit stratified, more stratified than maybe ultimately long-term we want it to be. But it's fantastic that a team that just got promoted is going to have 2 games at the end of the season that they're genuinely contenders in. They're playing good football. The results do them disservice playing against kind of the more high-ranked teams on the front end of their schedule. But now they've got 3 games that are super winnable. I hope the lads go out and enjoy it as well. They certainly have the talent, the offensive capability, and the defensive firepower to be able to put up a really good challenge against both of these teams. So I'll be interested to see how their end of their season wraps up. And again, could be that huge point. Is a great thing to have in the back pocket as well. It gives you a little bit of a comfort zone.
Yeah, through the gauntlet now, you kind of hope that, they've got this big break now. The coach's job, it's the coach's job to, reinstill that sort of confidence in them. Let them know that, look, they've been through the toughest part of the season, but they're still coming out the other side fighting, and there's plenty to play for in these last 2 games, I suppose what you don't want to see, and sometimes you do see with college teams, especially ones that are not contending, is that players drift away because, summer comes, they're maybe not down in Limerick as often as they would be during the college year. You don't want to see sort of players drift away and then them sort of, not be competitive towards the end of the season. I've no idea what their situation is. I'm sure the coaches there, they seem to have a pretty good culture. So I'm sure they'll be trying to keep everyone in. But I know that that can be a struggle. So hopefully they don't fall victim to that because that would probably be detrimental to them. But as you say, with that point in the back pocket, there's plenty to fight for. These 3 games now, I define their season. So
yeah, and just to piggyback on what Alex just said there, I was impressed when we did the line at the end, just how young a lot of these guys are. And it's really impressive, as Dara said, it is the challenge of the university squad. Sometimes we saw it with Trinity, unfortunately. That back end of the season, it's so hard to keep that nucleus together. It's something I think maybe they need to look. I mean, they won't have much of a choice. It's really trying to get the players to hang around, but it's what UCD have the advantage of is there's so many alumni players on UCD that are qualifying and eligible to play beyond just in the university, and it helps them stay competitive throughout the season. Of course, as Alex says, them being in a contending spot as well also helps. It's a lot more difficult when you're 0-6, 0-7 to try and fill out those last 2 games. But maybe for UL, if they do manage to stay up this year, that's somewhere they should direct their attention, just to try and get a few extra bodies, whatever their I know some of the universities have different qualification statuses that you need to be able to play, but I think that's maybe where they need to trend in, just to reassure themselves more than anything else that as they contend towards the end of the season, they will be able to keep those big numbers. Strong players have great young talent, so all they need is just a couple of guys be able to fill in when a couple of guys drift away, just to maintain that kind of standard throughout the level of the season.
Mm-hmm. We got a comment in there on Instagram from Michael Reed saying that the Panthers and Trojans game is going to be an evening kickoff, so why not try and make both? I'm going to let you, Michael, try and explain to my partner that I have to go away all day Sunday to watch 2 games of football in Dundalk and Belfast, and then also probably train on the Sunday as well, because I don't think we don't have a game that day.
You're not going to the Wolfhounds, no?
This week? No, not.
Yeah, the invite isn't in the post, isn't it?
No. I think it got lost in spam.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's the wrong week. Yeah, sorry, that joke.
Yeah.
I think your boys are actually reffing our game, Dara. I think the Rhinos are reffing the Mavs Cowboys game, so you could even get a lift.
Good no call, Dara. Good no call.
I'm not a ref this year. It's brilliant. I'm loving it. I'm not part of the rotation.
You've just shown your hand. You've just shown your hand. Rhinos, if you're listening, he's qualified as a referee.
He is qualified. I've seen it.
I was last year. I didn't do the retest this year.
Qualification has lapsed.
Didn't. Yep, exactly. Couldn't do it even if I wanted to, which I don't want to, so it's okay. Let's move on then to the other game that someone saw. Because, Alex, like we mentioned, you were down in Cork. The Admirals 28, the Minotaurs 8. Jay Kennedy threw 3 passing touchdowns, 2 to Jan Dessini and 1 to Declan May to continue his fantastic start to the season. Jake also pitched in for a rushing touchdown as well, including, and that was two through 1 2-point conversion to John Dessini, as well as another run by Alan O'Sullivan. Jan finished with 5 receptions for 90 yards, while Declan finished with 9 receptions for 113 yards. A fantastic day for the Admirals. And on the Minotaur side, I should mention as well, obviously, Rafa Montero getting their touchdown as well in the game. Alex,
and the 2-point conversion as well, I think.
And the 2-point, exactly. You were reffing that game. What did you see from both sides?
Yeah, well, firstly, from a referee's point of view, it was a good, clean game. Can't really complain about either side. It was well played and in good spirit, so kudos to both teams on that. The Admirals, got off to a flyer. I think Jake threw the first 2 touchdowns to Jan, and Jan was playing with the finger, 2 fingers on one of his hands, completely taped up, and he was still catching everything that was thrown in his direction. A fantastic player to watch live. It's the first time I've seen him in the flesh. Very impressive. The Admirals' defense was also all over the Minotaurs. Joe Kinnan had no time to throw the ball, and just they stifled everything they could do, and their offense was really clicking. And then came the 2 most feared words in Cork: halftime. And we came back from the halftime break, and the Minotaurs got the opening kickoff, and they drove down the field, and Rafa Montero was gashing the defense for 10-15 yard runs, scored, converted the touchdown, and I was kind of like, oh, here we go again. What has happened to Cork? But I think that Westmeath were struggling with their offensive numbers. They had some very green players lining up at wide receiver. They didn't have the normal experienced lads. I don't think Sean Dalton was there. They were missing a couple of usual pass catchers, so they didn't have the passing game that they would like to have. So it really limited their ability to come back. Rafa ran some more great runs, but then the Admirals just started stacking the box, stopping the run, and Joe didn't really have anyone of note to throw to. And the game just sort of petered out. Neither offense could get on it and going. Again, Jake Kennedy was very impressive in the first half. Second half, not so much. They weren't really moving the ball with any great success in the second half. So while Cork will be delighted with getting that first win on the board, they really have to figure out what is happening when that halftime whistle blows. Is it mental? Is it tactical? What's happening? And how can they stamp it out? Because they won't be making a deep playoff run if that continues. When we've seen it, I think they've had leads in all of their games, and at halftime it's at least been close, and yet they're 1-2-1. It's a bit baffling, to be honest, seeing it there. I didn't see anything that you could specifically pin it on, but I guess that's why the coaches are the coaches there. It's their job now to figure out what exactly is happening.
Yeah, Alex, I wanted to, just before Dara keeps going, I wanted to ask you a question, having seen it up close, because to be honest, I didn't believe it was a real thing, right? I thought like, well, you're playing in your first game. Every team's going to have a purple patch. Maybe UL were in the first game level, and then it progresses. You can kind of give away another one. And then I only saw the score of this one, so I kind of said, there, see, proof it was rubbish. That's a cruising win in the end. But it's interesting for you that you said that it did actually happen again, and I'm wondering, did you see anything? Like you said, there was nothing obvious, but do you think it's a real thing in the Admirals' heads? Did you see anything that they kind of went, here we go again, or is it us as the media?
Yeah, it's difficult to kind of pin down. There wasn't. It was actually from the minute sideline, they were heckling, shouting, saying that Jan was a first half player, which got a good laugh out of the Cork sideline. But so they clearly don't fear it. They're not like buying into it. There wasn't like a negative reaction to that. They just kind of laughed it off and like, show them up basically. But that didn't materialize on the pitch. Like going into the halftime break, the refereeing crew were talking about, okay, one more touchdown here and this becomes a running clock. Like this game is not going to be long. We'll get out of here nice and early. We'll shoot back up the road. Because it was looking like it was only going to be one direction the whole game based on that first half. The Admirals were really impressive. And then, it just is like a switch flipped. And even like you can understand the Minotaurs coming out really fired up to start second half and getting that touchdown. But you still expect Cork at some point to get that offense. It was flowing so easily in the first half that you think at some stage they'll get it back on track here in the second half. And it just never arose. Maybe they're making massive, big substitutions. I didn't notice. Jan was still playing in the second half. Jake was still under center. So unless they made line changes that I wouldn't have noticed from the side, I couldn't really pinpoint anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, looking at the rest of the Cork season now, they have 3 points. They're currently 1 point off the top 4, which fourth place being currently held by the Trojans. They have games against the Rebels away, Knights at home, Panthers at home, and then Trojans away to end the year. Realistically, you're gonna have to win both home games. You're gonna have to win.
Must be away because they've already played the Trojans.
Trojans one is away, yeah. Trojan one is away, yeah. And then you're gonna have to try to make the off season the top 4. You're gonna have to go either up to Belfast or into De La Salle, and you're gonna have to try and get a result of one of those games if they want to make the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, to be honest, I think they're probably capable of doing it if they can get this first half, second half monkey off the rack. Like, they have a talented team. Like, I really impressed again with, as I said, with Jake Kennedy, and they've got talent everywhere else to do it. But they just got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Sorry, Rain, you were going to hop in there or something.
No, I was just going to say pretty much the same as Alex is. Yeah, they do really need to win those games, and yeah, it is a bit of an uphill battle. It all stems from how they started off the season. I'm hoping that now that they've booked themselves a win after having a first half lead, that's the monkey off the back. The jinx has been broken, and now they can just kind of work on with the rest of the season. We'll have to see in the next game.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on then to. We'll make a point quickly about the Minotaurs before we wrap up. Again, they're still hunting for their first win. They do have games coming up soon against the likes of I did mention UL in a couple of weeks. Before that, though, they do welcome back. They do welcome, the Panthers to Mullingar on the 19th of May. Before that game, a week before that game against UL, then they are away to UCD, and then to finish off their season, they are away to the Trojans, and then they finish up at home against the Rebels. It's a schedule that doesn't look like it's going to ease up anytime soon for the guys, and they just are going to have to find results out of somewhere. Those two games, especially against the Knights and the Vikings, are crucial for their Premier League status for next year.
Yeah, I think that's where the arm wrestle is, right? We're talking about the kind of Trojans, Panthers, Admirals triangle. Well, that's the second triangle, right? The Vikings, the Knights, and the Minotaurs. And I think that's going to be crucial. Again, we don't want to go over it again, but again, it's crucial UL has that tie, right? It gives them that little bonus. The other two teams now have to win, but at least one of those games so probably have to beat UL both times in order to stay up, which is no given feat from what we've seen. So yeah, I think the Minotaurs are going to be disappointed. I really do think they probably believe they had a much better shot at being a mid-table team this season coming into it. They'll be disappointed with where they're at. And I think, unfortunately for them, it's probably genuine at the moment. You know what I mean? It's hard. Sometimes they've only played 3 games. Sometimes they've played 5 games. I think they are in that kind of bottom 3 battle, and they're going to have to shake off a little bit some of the tougher losses against some of the top tier teams and remind themselves that the real battle here is going to be, let's stay up. And to do that, you got really 2 challenging games coming up that you're really going to have to focus on. Of course, if you can steal a point or a win in any of the other games, essential. But those, I think, have to be the 2 that you really earmark as the ones where it's going to make or break your season.
Okay, moving on to the last of the Premier Division games. The Belfast Knights 13, just UCD 32. On the Knights side of things, Liam Moores threw 2 touchdowns to Dottie McShane. On the UCD side of things, Aaron Mooney threw a touchdown to Peter Masterson and Tom Donovan. A rushing touchdown each as well for Tom McAnuff and Jack Finnegan. Jack Finnegan and Tom McAnuff also had 2 rushing 2-point conversions each. UCD continue to steamroll through the division. I clipped up a part of the show last week where I said that I thought that the Knights were going to give them a closer game. The score line is a lot closer. I believe it was very. I'll be honest. I don't know how the sequence of the scores came along. Obviously, I was busy on Sunday with my own game, but I believe UCD were up by a lot early, and the Knights scores came later on in the game. Also, shout out to I don't know if you saw the pictures of Paddy Sweeney wearing one of those Tom Donovan sort of, his catch from week 1 was made into like a Nike t-shirt. So UCD, I'm gonna need one of them if there's any going. Thank you very much in advance. But Rain, UCD continue to control the division.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important for them to keep putting up kind of big scores against every opposition that they come up against, because they just need to keep the momentum rolling, right? We know that these games are not going to be pivotal to the season moving forward. It's when they come up against those Rebels again later on in the season, and inevitably in the postseason, that we're going to really be looking at UCD. So it's important to keep the confidence up, get reps for everybody, and keep putting up those scores so as they can, even if they do lose to the Rebels in the second game that they play this season, they can still maintain a very high score difference to get that number 1 overall seed, and that's going to help them out in the playoffs. Also, on the flip side of things, I'm very surprised by the Knights this season, to be honest. I don't think they're all that far off from being a competitor in that division. Their new quarterback, Moore is his name, right?
Liam Moores, yeah.
Liam Moore, yeah. He seems fantastic. He's a guy that really you can build a team around. They have the heft up front and on the defensive side of the ball, so they're not that far off. They could upset a couple of teams going forward in the Premier Division.
Yep. Anyone else want to comment there on UCD and the Knights?
No, I think Rian nailed it. UCD are continuing to do a juggernaut. They're winning the games they have to. I think they'll have number 1 seed as their ultimate regular season goal here, and I think it's well within their reach. And the Knights, yeah, I mean, we saw when we played them against the Panthers, and people probably took it as, oh, the Panthers didn't do as well as they expected there. I think that was some of the commentary that was going on around it. But look, the Knights have huge size on the line. It's so impressive what they managed to recruit there on the line. They're really impressive, and I believe a lot of Wolfhounds in there as well. So it's size, it's experience, and it's talent. And yeah, I think Rian's right. A couple of extra players here and there, and they could be really, really challenging that mid-tier of the SBC in a couple of short seasons. But great young talent. They run the ball well, I believe. And they did reasonably well, I heard, against UCD's run game, which is one of their more potent aspects. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint any one strength of the UCD offense. Is pretty much all a strength, but certainly well known for their running game, let's say. And the Knights did admirably. So look, they'll be disappointed, of course, always with a loss, but plenty of positives to take out that game once again for the Knights. And I guess important to go back to my triangle analogy, super important to come in feeling good, right? Those teams are not that far apart. And so feeling like you're competing against the big boys will give you that extra grain of confidence going in against these kind of clutch games against the teams that are around you in the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the boys nailed it there. Suppose the only other point to note is that UCD are also on an exam break like UL, so they've got a decent break before their next game. And I suppose they're not going into the break with the same sort of dilemmas that the UL coaches have, but they'll just use that to get lads rested up. Like Paddy Sweeney, as you mentioned, Dara, he was not playing there. They, let him get some rest, get the guys all healed up, because their focus is not games now; it's the games that are coming in July.
I think they need to put in a drinking ban, and they'll be fine. No crack for the UCD lads whatsoever. Just exams, get in and get out, live like a hermit.
I don't know if they're smoking crack. I think that's a ludicrous allegation.
Their next game is away to the Belfast Trojans on Saturday, the 25th of May. That is going to be under the lights in Derrimore as well. So a huge game, one that if you can get up for that game, make sure you do, for sure. That is all the Premier Division. Let's talk Division 1. There was only one game in Division 1 on Sunday. Was the...
No, there was only one game. There was only one game, and then only one. We're just standing on the pitch for a
while. No, look, let's talk about it. The Craigavon Cowboys 46, the West Dublin Rhinos 3. Craigavon came in and did exactly what they wanted to do. They came in, they beat the Rhinos, and they beat. Look, let's not beat around the bush. They beat them well, and it was just the 5 passing touchdowns for Peter Loughran this week. 2 to Oren O'Kane, 2 to Neil Maxwell, and then I think there was one also as well to. I had the stats. I'm after losing them. I know there was a rushing touchdown there for Andrew Heron too. On the Rhino side of things, it was a solitary field goal from Paul Hosford. No child hit along the way in that too, which is always good.
Thank God, that's the first game this season. There's no children have been harmed.
Yeah. Alex, you're gonna have to sort out something here with your boy John. Sending cowboy emojis here. Yeah. Is he confirming a transfer to the Cowboys mid-season?
I think he just really likes Beyonce's new album.
It's just bald. He needs something to hide the bald head. It's just testing out sartorial choices in the comment section. Maybe, I don't know.
But look, listen. Story of the game. Yeah, the Cowboys scored on every offensive drive they had. We unfortunately couldn't force them to punt. We couldn't force a turnover. There was some special teams turnovers, but yeah, the Peter just sort of unfortunately bullied their sort of young corners. First year and second year respectively for the guys, and it was a tough game on offense. Despite the fact that it was only 3 points, it was a lot more progressive in terms of we were moving the ball an awful lot better on. Thanks a lot, John. Moving the ball off a lot better on offense. Than we did the previous week against Kildare. A few things had changed, so that we were able to, get the offense going in a short week, and we had some success. We just couldn't punch it in the end zone, in the red zone. In the end zone, sorry, in the red zone is where we sort of stalled a little bit with either penalties playing behind the chains, or I think there was one interception by Ethan in the red zone as well. This, we talked about it as well. Like, when I say we, I mean us as a show. Talked about it as well at the start of the season, that these first 3 games are the hardest stretch of games that the Rhinos have to start the year. They did get it. We are through it. It's 1-2. Ideally, you'd like to be 2-1 or even better 3-0. But look, 6-2, 5-3 is still a real possibility. Just have 2 sessions now, 3 weeks before our next game, 2 good training sessions at least to get what we need to down and get ready for that game up in Causeway in a couple of weeks, for sure. But yeah, tough day. Congratulations to the Cowboys, fantastic win. Didn't get to see Scott as much as I would have liked, because he was on offense and I was on offense for most of it, so I didn't really like that too much. But I can confirm that he is not as slow responding on the field than he is when he's on a podcast. So he's definitely on point there for sure. But lads, your sort of reactions to, I know you didn't get to see any of the game, but reactions to the scoreline and what you think it holds for both teams.
Yeah, look, Dar, at the end of the day, I think you have to take it with a pinch of salt. It's pretty much, with the exception of maybe Alex and the Mavs, most people's number 1 seed in Division 1 at the moment. You obviously would have liked to have a couple of less scores, maybe a stop here or there on defense. And ultimately, you guys are going to have takeaways, right? We chatted about this off air after the game. I was asking you how it went. He said, look, moving the ball is important, and there is a significant difference to moving the ball against number 1 seed. Put the ball in the end zone gets very difficult. It's a learned skill. It's not the same, but it's important. Look at UL against the Rebels. They did not manage to move the ball. So it's an important takeaway to have. It means your offensive scheme is there. You just got to get the kind of the composure, or maybe the quickness, or whatever needs to change coming into that red zone. That's something you can work on, and that comes with experience. As you said, you've got a lot of young talent on that team. So the scoreline will be disappointing for you guys. I know you probably felt like you deserved a few more than 3 points. I'd say that's almost definitely true. But ultimately, it's the number 1 seed. As I said, you split it with the Crusaders. They obviously have the tiebreak, but 2 very close games, or at least 2 well-played games between the 2. Nothing to be too worried about there. And ultimately, the Crusaders are going to have to play the Cowboys as well, right? That's not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. Cowboys got to be favorites in that one. So I think, repeating myself a little bit here, but ultimately the story is true. You got to win mostly against the teams that are around you, because you have to assume the good teams are going to beat everybody. And so you need to make sure you don't drop any more points. As I said, disappointed to split this series, but still lose the tiebreak. But I think it gives you a lot of confidence now going into teams like the Eagles, like the Razorbacks, as maybe falling down, but certainly the Eagles, that you guys can be confident that your offensive system is working. Your defense is going to have better days against more balanced opponents. And I think that's what you guys need to hold on to. As you said, it's the toughest 3. It's not the best split you could have had, but it's also not 0-3, which would have looked a whole lot worse for the season. So you got to drive forward, take the positives you can, and just concentrate now on the teams that are around you, and try not to lose unexpected points, and make sure you're competing in all the games going forwards.
For me, the major takeaway from this one is just the the stratified nature, as Fionn called it, of the divisions at the moment in the AFI. We have teams at the top of divisions who are grossly outscoring teams in the middle and towards the bottom of the table. That really has to change. The AFI needs to look at it in the off season to kind of make a more balanced league schedule, I believe. But yeah, look, that's something to look forward to in the off season. In terms of the Rhinos, Dara, I know that a scoreline like that doesn't look great, but I tell you what, that 3 points is a whole hell of a lot better than 0. I've been through multiple games scoreless in my career. It's not a good feeling when you go back-to-back scoreless. So having those 3 points, it means it is a signifier that you did in fact move the football. You can talk as much as you want, like you could have gone 3 and out every single drive on a 0 score, and you could say, "Oh, but we moved the football very well." No one would ever know. But those 3 points are a signifier that you did get down into a scoring position against the number 1 overall team in that division. So yeah, it's better than 0.
And look, Dara, UCD feels sorry for you, so they're going to give you a Tom Donovan shirt. So something good came out of it. Let's go.
Yeah, 2XL, please. Thank you.
I was hoping
on that, no problem.
I was hoping you were going to soften these boys up, Dara. You know, I was hoping you were going to soften the Cowboys up before they come up to Dundalk. But
well, maybe they might be soft because he ate so much. I don't know.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Peter is an incredible quarterback. If you've got a weakness or an area of your defense that's a little, off on the day or anything, he will exploit that. I mean, he's the best quarterback to play in Division 1 probably since Peter Loughran, the last time the Cowboys were in the Division 1. He's brilliant. So like, I don't think there's no shame in sort of him getting the better on the field. But as the boy said, like you got the 3 points, you moved the ball, you've had the toughest part of your schedule until you come up to Dundalk on June 30th. But in between then and now, you've got some improvement to do. I'm sure everyone will know that, and you've got some games that are eminently more winnable. So you guys just gotta focus on yourselves, knuckle down, pick up some points, and make sure you're in a position to make a push for that playoff spot come the end of the season. It's probably going to work. It's a quirks of the schedule. It's going to work out poorly for us, I reckon. If we'd have gotten you at some point in this stretch, maybe it might have been easier than if we get you now at the end of the season and you've reeled off 4 wins in a row. We'll probably be looking forward to the match a lot less than we would have been if we were playing you this weekend or something. It's all just quirks of the schedule.
It's nice to have a gimme at the end at the end of the season, though, Alex, to get you into the mood for playoff football.
Yeah.
While we're on the Peter Loughran hype train, by the way, I was looking at the standings for touchdown scorers in the league. He's got like fucking 16 already. The next guy has 2. That is insane.
Did you check the maths on that now? Because Peter's going to be on.
Yeah, the updated one. Yeah. The updated one is Peter
17?
16.
That was another problem, right? You'd be putting up rushing touchdowns too. Half the fucking league is even being like, I also have 2 touchdowns. We can only put 5 people.
Don't have that much space.
It's not a fucking carousel that just goes on. Like everybody's got a fucking touchdown in the league. But there you go.
I know. Yeah, the Cowboys down there. I think they're plus 124 on the points difference as well. Like they've just
probably 12. We don't know. Dara has. He closed his eyes and just slammed the keyboard.
Mashed his fist against the keyboard, yeah. But look, they're a great team. We're really looking forward to welcoming them up to Dundalk now in a fortnight. Usually a good battle between ourselves. So yeah, I think that's definitely the one to go for, Dara, if you're going up to a game. But yeah, I still think the Rhinos are going to be fine. You're still a good team. One result doesn't make you a bad team all of a sudden. Even 2 results, like you've got plenty to focus on, and plenty of games between now and the end of the season to turn it all around. So, would me going to panic stations at all yet?
Yes, Mr. Scott Buchanan actually commented there on Instagram and says we did eat a lot of Burger King. To be fair, So, listen, hope the rookie initiation actually went all right. And he says, have you ordered the pizza yet, Alex? He's going to bring the tea bags this time.
That's it. The tea bag pizza bowl. Yeah. Sounds like it's an innuendo for something horrific. But no, we'll have the pizzas.
Friday night and loud.
we'll have the kebab pizzas on the go for Scott and the boys. So we might even serve them before the game to maybe slow down Peter and Scott. So
they don't sell garlic mayo in Loud for the old crust. They sell just points of harp. You dip your crust in that.
That's it. Of course, you know me. I'm always right.
Look at that. Some stereotypes are based on evidence, you know.
Absolutely.
Right. We have one more game to speak about. By the way, also this is why I do the podcast. You guys just make me feel better after a loss. It's great. You know? It's like my own therapy session that I just put live out there on the internet for people to listen.
For those who don't see, Dara has cue cards behind the camera, basically going, "You need to say this. We're all at ransom."
Look,
yeah,
listen,
that money just hit my Revolut account there, Dara. Thanks very much.
No bother. That's set for now for the next fortnight worth of stuff anyway as well. Might chip in for an L pizza too.
Something nice. Right. He makes them stay out and count points.
Yeah. Right. Let's have a chat about the biggest scoreline of the weekend. That is the Giants 64. Yes, 64. The Jets 24. Now, the Giants were very kind to send us their highlight reel of the game. So I'm going to see if I can get this up here and have we can play it there while we speak about the game. Can we all see that screen now? I sound like a real teacher there on that. Yeah. There we go. Excellent. So that should be playing away. Is it playing away? There we go. Yes. So I have the stats officially.
That's a baffless row right there. If ever I saw it.
You had to get that going, didn't you? Nate Wilson had 3 passing touchdowns to Ben Smith, Nathan Chapman, and Ronan McCluskey. Rushing touchdowns came from Tony McCluskey, Dean Carey, and Jig McCoy, who got himself 2 actually on the day. Nathan Chapman had 3 2-point conversions. Chris Montgomery has 2 2-point conversions. Michael McCaffrey with a pick 6 from 5 yards. And Dean Carey with a 65-yard pick 6 as well. Jeez, that's a lot. On the Jets side of things, I have it here. They had 2 passing touchdowns to Jay Burton, 1 rushing touchdown from Joey Howe, and another rushing touchdown from Jason B. Joey Howe was in a quarterback as well. And the day, so a huge win for the Causeway Giants. A defeat that comes after having, of course, unfortunately having to forfeit their game against you, Alex, and unfortunately the time didn't help them in terms of getting prepared for this game.
Oh yeah. Well, look, they still went out there and put up points. I think they'll be happy enough with that. Obviously, you always want to win, but to put a positive output on tape after, after they forfeited our game, there's a lot of speculation that they're going to fold to this, that, is this game even going to go ahead? I kind of was like, some people within our team might have been like, oh, F them for forfeiting and giving us a game. I'm just happy to see that they're still there. They're scoring points and they look to be in relative health. I mean, 88 points scored in this game in total, which is I think that's 2 more than in the Rebels UCD opener. So by that metric, and probably that metric alone, this is a much better game.
Yeah, look, I think I wouldn't be as keen as you, Alex, to say that the Jets are out of the woods just yet. I suspect 24 points is significantly more than players they had kitted out for that, just looking at kind of the VO there. Look, and I don't say this in a bad way. I'm just saying this from bitter experience. It is great if it was a forfeit due to numbers availability to be able to play the next game. That is a nice rebound. But also, this is going to have to continue. Do you know what I mean? I think they're going to be on watch for the rest of the season. But And I will say this, hugely important to get those 24 points. The lads who have kitted out, played really hard. We know what it's like to be the final few, even yourself, Alex, to be the guys. When you do pull out even scores, okay, it bitterly disappointed and a lot of scores went in, but running scores and passing scores, that's very difficult to do as an offense. You need things to be working well. They even went ahead in the game as well, which is a huge deal. So some positives, at least, for the Jets to take out of this. I would like to see them keep continuing to bring back the numbers, keep recruiting, and I'm sure they are. Not trying to insinuate that they're not, but I still think, unfortunately for me at least, it's still thin ice. So I'm crossing my fingers for them that they can get a few more bodies, feel a bit more confident, and put in a few more good performances. But as much as we got a heap praise on the Giants, and I'm sure they'll be absolutely thrilled to score that many points, it's great feeling. Equally good, I think, for the Jets in this case, because the lads who are there are having to do twice the work, and it feels good to be able to at least put some scores on the board. I think it allows you, as we said, for the Rhinos, it makes a huge difference not to have a goose egg on the scoreboard by the end of the game. So just to wrap up, want to give huge compliments to the Giants. They've got their game humming as well, because not only did they get rushing and passing touchdowns, they also managed to get a few defensive scores as well. So talk about a complete game for them. That's going to be hugely encouraging. They're going to have some tough games coming up. I do think it's still fair to have them in the lower half of the tier for this Division 1. So they're going to have a lot of hard scrapes coming, but hopefully this really gives them a lot of encouragement. I think they're well able for it. Certainly looking at the VO here, they've got fantastic numbers on that opposite sideline. So they won't be short of talent. And it's just a matter of having the confidence and putting the ball where it needs to be in order to compete against some of these bigger, or let's say higher ranked teams going forward to end their season.
Well, the easy schedule does continue. I think they've got the Rhinos next, so it's probably another.
Oh, great. Well, talk about a double bounce back game. That's fantastic for them.
Yeah. Look, trap game. That's what it is for them. Trap game.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Sorry, I missed kind of what you were discussing there on that, but just from my own point of view on the game, fantastic for the Giants. They continued their great start to the season. This was one of those like dominating wins that make sure that they belong in Division 1. That they are able to put up points, they're able to score both on the ground and in the air. They're able to defend, obviously, with their 2 pick sixes as well. And on the Jet side of things, look, listen. I caught a little bit there what you were saying, Fionn, at the end. It's important to score. It is important to score. They probably would have been looking at this game and thinking that they can get a result out of this. Okay, it didn't happen, but now listen, guys, dust yourself off, get back to train and see what you did wrong, see what you can improve on, and then get ready, because I think straight after the bye, I have the schedule here. Is it straight after the bye? They are playing, yes, straight after the bye week, they are playing at home to the Vipers. So another game that they can target and definitely look at and say think that they can get a result out of.
Yeah, great. Also, I think we'd be remiss not to shout out Ross McKenzie, we had on the podcast a few weeks ago. I think he got it seems like a serious enough knee injury on the very first play of that game. So we wish Ross all the best and hope he recovers quickly.
Cool. We don't have a lot of time to go through all of our hot takes. We're going to go through a few very quickly. We'll go more one-word answers, okay, on this one. The first one actually is coming from a few different people, and that's the Giants, who we just talked about. Giants for a top 4 spot this year. Yes or no?
They're going to win BAFA, that's for sure.
That's more than one word.
No.
They're all fully registered this year, Phil. They're all fully registered this year.
That's what I'm saying. No.
Yeah. I'm going to say no. I would also like to see, the game I'm looking forward to for them is Razorbacks. Can the Razorbacks put up a score versus the Giants? Can the Giants put up a score versus the Razorbacks? Be interesting to see.
Yeah. It's a lot more than one word for him, I know. Yeah, I know.
No,
Uh,
I understood the assignment, Darren.
yeah,
Next.
you understood the assignment. The game that will actually tell, just very quickly, the game that will actually tell us whether or not they can make the top 4. The game when they play against Wexford. That's going to be the one. To see if they can make top 4. And also, John agrees. No. Let's have a look.
Easy to tell that the Mavs don't have to play the Giants this year, so we can talk all the shit we want.
Yeah, so you can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. Dan Johnson, Offensive Player of the Year.
No.
Now, just for context, Dan Johnson so far this year has 6 receiving touchdowns.
And how many passing touchdowns does he have? Or is that Greg?
That's Greg.
I think that's that.
Nah.
No, it is.
Yeah. So,
No.
what you think? One? No. Yeah, because I know what you're going to say. No.
Well, first of all, if he's catching touchdowns, it means someone's throwing it to him. So you could always argue that the quarterback tends to get that accolade before the receiver does. So
El Limpy.
yeah, limpy, one leg.
Oh, jeez.
Feel better than
He should be
better
a
than
player.
98% of the teams in Ireland. But there you go.
Might just see a Panthers player just come from behind there and grab Fionn.
Yeah, if you know you have to play them
AC,
this year. Yeah.
because it is the
You don't-
ACW because he doesn't take L's. You can have that one time if you want to put that on your Instagram, no problem.
Brandon Atwell, MVP. These are from the
Who?
same person as well.
Who's
Don't say
Brandon
who.
Atwell?
You're playing them this year. You can't be saying who. You
I'm
can't
not
be
gonna say
saying
no.
No, like I said, I think
he is one of their running back committee who's been playing quite well. He also plays DM too.
No, I
He
don't
played
want to
at
be
D1
disrespectful,
college
but I
ball.
just don't know names. I don't know names. I'm sorry, lads.
You need to
I
be
apologize.
careful as well because he'll stitch your headbutt. He has previous.
Like, Dara, if you're still listening to this, I'm gonna need tape of when Brandon Atwell runs over Fionn.
The train.
I'm just gonna
the
need that
train
tape to
comes
play
through the
over and over
station.
and over and over again. Right. One that we'll always get when you ask. Refs are shy.
Hey,
Not TPOs.
This is-
Not TPOs. Refs. Not TPOs.
This is hot takes. Hot takes.
Yeah.
Next.
No.
Well,
TPOs
to be
are
honest,
shite.
lads,
TPOs are
these guys are doing it as a fucking hobby, all right?
Yeah.
Same as you. Nobody, when you throw an interception, nobody goes, "Ooh, quarterback shy." No, they're fucking doing their hobby, same as yourself. Just give up. They might make some bad calls. They don't have video referees to go back to,
Well, we did say the Rhinos were shite, in fairness, Ryan.
and we were correct.
It's all very good. Coming from the guy who hasn't been up this year.
Yeah,
Right.
that's fair.
John McArdle for MVP. See if he's still listening.
Yes.
MVP in my heart.
Old two thumbs McArdle.
This is an interesting one. Fionn, I'm sure you're going to be all over this one. Finn Cairns is Madden 04 Mike Vick.
A lot of similar traits.
He hates dogs, does he?
He hates dogs. It was-
Sorry, Finn.
He hates
I'm
dogs. He hates dogs as much as the Rhinos hate toddlers on their sidelines.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, that was right there. My apologies, Finn. I'm sure you love dogs.
Cork runner-up in the Shield.
Oh, harsh.
That's a hot take.
Who's the winner of the Shield then? That's what I want to ask whoever put that in.
I'd say
Whoever doesn't qualify.
second half?
your Knights-
Trojans.
Yeah.
Knights are Belfast. Knights or UL. Sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking Knights could be a good shout. I mean, it depends. Yeah, obviously, everything depends on how the season goes. But I don't think that's the wildest hot take. I could see that.
But But hold on, isn't like the Trojans or no? Sorry, they're both in at the moment, aren't they? UCP.
No, yeah, because I can see it.
Rebels, Panthers, Trojans are the top 4 at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the 4
Yeah.
seeds at the moment. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So of everybody else, yeah, it's a tough one to call. I think Knights maybe might win it.
Mm-hmm.
Go on a bit of a run.
We'll have to wait because like those sort of teams, obviously minus Cork and the Vikings, haven't really played each other yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the Minotaurs did play the Knights, but I don't think the Minotaurs are going to make the Shield unless they start winning games. Bowl games to be held somewhere sensible. What's sensible?
Relative, I guess, is my word answer.
Yeah.
Like, for fucking
Yeah,
Cork,
but you can't. You think
like
like
Dublin.
The
see,
Shamrock,
this is the
they're
thing.
being
We heard
held
this last year.
for the first
We heard
time.
this
They're
last
being
year
held
from-
on a Saturday, Sunday. I think the Division 1 bowls on a Saturday and the SBCs on a Sunday. Shamrock Bowl
Yeah.
on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And
I
I think
would
the Shamrock Bowl is
imagine-
meant to be in Kingspan in Belfast, I believe. And it'll
Is
probably
that for
be the
sure?
Dublin teams and everything. It hasn't been confirmed, but there was
Yeah.
a sort of multi-game deal put in place that last year they couldn't play it in Kingspan because it was been reseeded or re-sowed, or however you say that.
Yeah.
So I assume it will go back there at some point, but I don't know if it'll be this year or not.
I'm
So
gonna
are we
suspect
talking
that
like
was
in
a
Reforge or something?
dub. Sorry, I'm gonna suspect that was a dub asking that question, and I would encourage that dub to go.
Actually,
to,
it wasn't. It wasn't.
Really.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So, close by, Kildare.
So think about it. Where was like the bowl games last year in Limerick and Cork? So
Cork,
what
yeah.
one
Oh,
other than
Christ.
Dublin would not want to go to Limerick and Cork?
Well, the North, but I mean,
Yeah.
they were saying
Specifically, the
that
Causeway Giants they forced us to
Yeah.
host a bowl game the day before our bowl game. No, they didn't. I know they didn't. They'll get on to me now and be like, we never requested that. I know. Relax.
Why don't we have it in
See, this-
Athlone? It's the whole.
Because
See,
there's
this
no
is the thing.
teams there.
This is-
Where are you going to have
There's
it? The site of the ploughing championships?
Yeah,
There's
It's
about as
fucking
good as
18.
about as good as the Crusaders pitch.
There's about 18 teams in Antrim, and they couldn't get fucking volunteers to Kingspan 2 years ago. So how are they going to get anybody to Athlone?
Yeah. This is the kind of thing, right? That I think the AFI gets a lot of swipes when it comes to this stuff. But number one, we don't have a sugar daddy for the league who's willing to rent out these amazing facilities. And number two, when they say, will every team send us a few volunteers, nobody bothers to do it. So like, what are they supposed to do? There's very limited options when you give them that kind of leeway.
The ideal spot for it is, and it's been held here in the past, is Tala Stadium. But the unfortunate reality for many of us, including mostly Dundalk fans, is that Shamrock Rovers are now good and consistently get into Europe. So that means that they are usually unavailable. It's unavailable on weekends during that July period where it's usually held. So
It's
Also
also,
the cost of
apparently
renting the boat
three
too.
times the price. Three
Yeah.
times the price of Kingspan to rent out Tala Stadium, which is just bonkers.
But see, now
How
this
about
is
the Aran Island?
we're talking about SPC venues, but like the original question was the bowl. Like the problem with the bowl games is the league doesn't decide where the bowl game. The league goes out to every team saying, "Hey, who wants to host a bowl game? Let us know." And that's the problem. So
play the
it can
ball
be anywhere. What was that?
import all the players. Play the balls on Madden. We'll import all the players.
Fionn might be able to see a bit of playing time then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He won't just be running up and down with the chains.
Yeah, with the sticks. Superimpose me on all the referees.
Last one, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. But D2 is still very much needed.
Some form.
Some form.
No,
Not,
it
not
100%
last year's
is,
form.
and let's not fucking beat around the bush and go, oh, it's a development league. No, it's just the third tier of Irish football. There's a straight promotion, there's a straight demotion. It doesn't matter. You can't have a Razorback situation where it goes, oh, but they have nice jerseys and lots of players. Let's put them up a division. No, one up, one down. That's it. D2.
Yeah, I think the league for stuff like this, like I know in the past, it's always been, there's been working groups from the league and the teams all vote on it and propose it. That structure is not going to work because teams aren't going to vote to relegate themselves or get themselves in perceived bad positions in the short term. Then teams are never going to think about the long term. It's always going to be, what am I doing next year? Because that's just the way the league is. If the league genuinely wants to develop and put in a structure that's going to help us create more clubs, rather than at the moment where we're actually seeing a reduction in clubs despite the rise in popularity of the sport, the league are going to have to mandate something and say, this is how it is, and like it or lump it.
Yeah, I think so. And look, listen, and John is just put in the comments exactly what I was going to say, because Alex said it as well before. 3 divisions, 6 teams in each. I think it's just the fairest way. I know teams are going to get upset because some from the Premier Division that technically don't feel they deserve to go down to Division 1 will have to, and then the same for Division 1 teams going down to Division 2.
But if you look at it from the flip side, like the teams who are in Division 2 who really could have done with staying in Division 2, i.e. the Pirates, etc. If you look at it the flip side, we shouldn't have gone up, but we did, and everybody just says, well, it's just a year. See how it goes. If you've been demoted to a division you don't think you should be in, it's just a year. Get yourself out of the division.
Yeah, but it's a year of... Because it's the same thing as well with the Jets, because the Jets should have been relegated to Division 2. It's a year being in a division that you shouldn't be in, where you're getting heavy defeats. You're not progressing, and you know, nothing scares off players and from coming back more than a team that can't win games.
Yeah,
especially
you're not going to get them to come back. You're going to see less and less training every week.
It's probably ultimately why the Jets forfeited against us, because they probably foresaw, a heavy defeat with, the game coming the following weekend. They were like, we might as well just take the medicine, get this game done, and live to fight on another day. And it's the sad reality of it. But yeah, you're right. There does need to be. There is a huge disparity within the leagues itself. So something has to be done about it.
And look, it's nothing to criticize against the teams that are doing well, that have been able to build and stuff like that. Fantastic for them. Absolutely brilliant that they have a structure in place now where they have a good squad of players. They have a good backroom staff. They have a good GM or social media or whatever they're doing to build the team, which is absolutely fantastic. There's not trying to step on them, but it's just trying to get, like you said, the popularity has never been as high as it's been in the country for American football. You want everybody playing. You don't want there only to be, what is there at the moment? There's 3 teams in Dublin, is there? 4? 3?
4.
4.
3.5.
3.5. but like one of those teams you can't play for unless you go to that school as well. So that kind of limits the playing pool. And then, Dublin with such a big catchment area is also then, if you're going to a Rebels, a Panthers, a Rhinos, if there's on paper, it sounds great saying, oh, we have 40, 50 players registered. But in reality, you are getting players that were like, yeah, well, I'm not dressing up. I'm paying X amount of quid a year to basically stand on the sideline and go in for the odd special team. I'm not going to continue playing this sport if that's what I'm doing. I want to play.
100%.
Well, look.
So come join the Pirates.
There you go.
Soon to be something else.
Formerly known as.
That's all secret. That's all secret. Push.
All right, we'll save it for the world exclusive there in the off season.
We don't want the talking balls lads scooping us,
We're changing to Spanish, the North Dublin Pirates.
You might get some Spanish students.
You might actually get the Spanish students. He's right.
Yeah.
This is the time of year they come over. So, lads, like I said, we're going to wrap up here. We've gone a little bit over time. I appreciate you all for hanging out for the extra 10 minutes that we've been on. Bye week this week. So it's Wolfhounds training. Also, the Jaguars positional clinic is on as well. So for anybody who is not over the age of 30, who was actually able to register for it, best to look at that. For all of you over 30-year-olds that weren't allowed go, enjoy your bye weekend. Whether
I think it was
Enjoy
25 as well.
It's 28, I think.
27, I think 27.
Enjoy your mushed food and the entertainment of the old
Enjoy
folks
being
home
washed,
this
lads.
weekend.
You're not into the NFL. I'm one of those.
And
Also happening this weekend is the Loud Mavericks annual bucket collection in Dundalk. So if
You collect
anyone's
buckets. What do you do with that?
if anyone's heading up, to Newry to do their shopping, make sure you spin into Dundalk and throw some coins at me.
Do you take recycle vouchers?
Oh yeah, we'll take anything. We take pants. I mean, I've gotten everything. I've gotten Italian lira, a currency which has been used since the 90s. I've got punts before.
McCardle's bottle caps.
Yeah. So come down and throw something at me.
I've actually got a bag of empty cans. I can give you one as if you can get them down to yourself at the machine. But lads, as always, thank you very much. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to us on YouTube, Under Center Podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you've liked that video as well. Subscribe, maybe share if you want to, or comment underneath with it. Let us know your hot take so far this mid-season. Also, Instagram, Twitter at Under Center Pod. Like I say every week, Instagram, despite the fact that I get points differences wrong and I seem to get places wrong as well in Division 1, that is the place to go to for the latest stats, the latest tables, the latest results, the latest pictures from the AFI season. So that's where you're going to be kept up to date. But until next week, stay safe, and we will, of course,